You're listening to WCAT Radio, your home for authentic Catholic programming.
Well, welcome to WCAT Radio. My name is Dr. Emilio Chavez. I'm hosting this program at the request of Dr. Sebastian Mahfoud, a great and dear friend. And I understand that people interested in training students, seminarians, etc., in Spanish for pastoral work, etc., and parish work in the United States, where Spanish is so important due to the large number of Catholics that attend parish services and other educational activities with the church and don't know English, so that anybody in pastoral work in the United States has to know as much Spanish as they can. So this program is going to be centered on the CPI Spanish Costa Rica Centro Panamericano. So it's a Pan-American center, and we have here Jonle Sedar and Annia Montero, who is the academic coordinator. And, I think they want to give an overview briefly of, Costa Rica, why Costa Rica is such a nice place to have these kinds of training. And, but we really would prefer that the audience come in with their questions so that we don't talk about what we think might be of interest, but rather we respond to what people are interested in asking and knowing about.
Sure. Well, bien, saludos desde Costa Rica. Le hablamos Annie y yo desde diferentes partes de Costa Rica. Yo estoy en este momento en Guanacaste. So Annie and I are live from Costa Rica and in different parts of the country. Right now I'm in Guanacaste country, and Annia is in the Central Valley, La Meseta Central. Where actually the majority of Costa Rica percent of Costa Ricans live in the Central Valley. So Costa Rica is a small country. It's 7 provinces, but only 4 million people. Very accessible to the States. So I'm guessing that some of our listeners here have visited, since from New York it's about a 5-hour flight. From Houston is only about 3 hours. And so it's a country that is really just a short flight away, and a country that has a lot of beauty in terms of natural wonders. It's a country that has 2 coasts, so we have the Caribbean side and the Pacific side, and a lot of biodiversity. It's only 0.03% of the Earth's surface, but has 5% of biodiversity. So a lot of times when people think about Costa Rica, they think monkeys, sloths. Just the other day I was walking on the beach, I saw a whale breach in the water near Flamingo Beach. Lots of butterflies and hummingbirds, and so it's a place where you can easily see natural wonders, and a place where people are so friendly that it is nice to visit. And really, if you're interested in the Spanish language, interact with the people in a nice way and really perfect your linguistic skills. So Dr. Chavez, I know that you were here in Costa Rica, so yes. Maybe you can share a little bit about your time and your impressions.
Well, briefly, yes. I mean, I was there 3 times. I've been to, I think, 2 weddings and a funeral. 2 weddings and another visit on business. And so it is known as a peaceful country. It's cool in San Jose anyway. Nice and cool, like I like it. And the people are friendly, and it's quaint, I guess, and nice. And it's a very peaceful country compared to a lot of Latin America. So, and of course, I just want to mention that I taught sacred scripture at the Catholic Regional Seminary in Florida for 14 years. So I'm well aware of the need for Spanish and the different stages when they get up to read during the Mass, and their Spanish is not that good. And some people are from a Polish background or Vietnamese background or some other background, and it's a lot different learning Spanish with some one kind of background from another kind of background. So in any case, I know enough about that. I don't know if anybody wants to say something else.
Well, basically, prior to COVID, we had been receiving each summer a lot of seminarians, deacons, with that same goal in mind, where you're sharing that the Hispanic population in the States has really expanded, and the idea of believers feeling comfortable in experiencing Mass and different ceremonies in their native tongue, and also sharing things that they may need. And so it's really important for those in the church to be able to have some communication skills. And of course, we have students come of all levels. And so we have some students who are coming at zero, right, Annia? Where they're not speaking any Spanish. And then we have some students who are what we call are coming from Hispanic families, but maybe in the home they feel comfortable with the comprehension part of the Spanish, but they really want to develop their confidence in speaking the language or having more elevated conversations. So our class sizes are very small here in Costa Rica. The maximum is 4 students, but we have found on average that our seminarians are coming and taking private classes so that their learning is very directed and almost fast-tracked in a way, because when you're here learning, you're immersed. You're in class 20 hours a week, and then you're in the community engaging with local people, and you're really practicing your language. So right now we have the same program, a pastoral Spanish program, but it's online until the borders start to open up. So it's a nice sort of combination where we can have people who are interested in learning Spanish start now with our online program, and then hopefully eventually visit us in Costa Rica. But our academic expert is Annia. So I'll sort of pass to her in terms of what classes look like and sort of the content that's covered.
Yeah. So classes are designed for all levels. So we can start from beginner level to advanced level. And the students most of the time take 2 hours per week. And we can cover the grammar, the communication skills, and help our students in the specific area they need. Sometimes are for the seminary, sometimes we need to prepare the la misa. How do you say la misa? The mass. Yeah, so we can help the students to give the I don't know how to say this in English. Now you need to help me.
Okay.
So, nosotros podemos ayudar a los estudiantes a preparar el sermón o la misa.
We can help the students to prepare this homily or the mass.
Y es más fácil cada vez cuando el estudiante está en contacto con un profesor, because it's not a regular citizen teaching, it's an expert, is a teacher, a native teacher, so the skills will improve quickly when you take classes.
So there's close contact between teacher and students.
It's face-to-face, so the students can ask to the teacher. In small groups provide the student the opportunity to ask and receive an answer. When we have big groups, it's complicated. But in this format, the students are improving their skills quickly. Our students can prove this because all the students said, I learned in 1 week more than a semester. And they cannot believe, but it's true. We can do that.
Yeah, and our students are very diligent, right, Annia? They're very good about looking at the content that they receive in class and practicing it outside of class. So a lot of the credit also goes to them as well. But really the idea of our methodology at CPI Spanish is to really encourage the students to have the confidence to speak. So giving them the skills, but also that little push that says, yes, you can do it, and really guiding them in a very friendly and patient way. And so it's really quite different than maybe what students have experienced in high school or in college, where the groups are large and they don't have a lot of talk time. And also then too, when we have these small groups or one-on-one classes, which we have online right now, and we also have on site once sort of the borders open up, is the idea that that really we want students to be successful, and we want all the attention to be on them. And we know that people have different learning skills or different ways that they like to learn. So the teacher's able to capture that, as Annia says, because they are all trained in teaching Spanish as a second language. And so the idea of, okay, well, this student is a little bit more visual, or this student likes to listen. And so we're able to do this combination to really help the student be successful.
I think what we want to do is have Ms. Jonle Sedar. Did I say that right?
Jonle Cedar, yeah. Cedar like the tree, and John and Lee smacked together.
but Cedar with an S, right?
With an S, yeah. Yeah.
You can give, I know I was listening to your overview of Costa Rica and the school and its desirability, and then Ms. Annia Montero, who is the academic coordinator of the CPI, which is Centro Panamericano de Idiomas, Pan American Center of Languages in Costa Rica. She can also say whatever is within her interests to convey to us. And we'll try to anticipate the kinds of questions and interests that prospective students might have. And so let's continue.
Okay, well, over the break, just between us, we were talking a little bit about seminarians who have visited us in Costa Rica. I did forget to mention, too, that Costa Rica has 3 schools in site and in country. We have one in the Central Valley. It's a little bit more of it's a suburb, a little bit more urban ambiance, but still very typical, a quaint little town called San Joaquin de Flores. And we also have a school in Monteverde in the Cloud Forest. So if we have any visitors who love birding, which we've had fathers come who really enjoyed the birding in Monteverde in the Cloud Forest, it's a great location. And then we have a beach campus. And so that's, as I mentioned earlier, is where I am located right now in Guanacaste in Flamingo Beach. So when people are able to travel, it's nice to be able to divide time and see the culture within the country. Because when you have an urban ambiance, it's a little bit different than a rural mountain town versus a rural coastal town. And so our seminarians are able to visit with the local priests, have hands-on activities, able to participate in Mass with the priests. And so we have a very nice relationship set up with our local churches so that the priests are able to practice their Spanish and hear a native speaker using Spanish in different in Mass and in different opportunities as they engage with the people in the community. And so specifically, we've received seminarians from St. John's out of California, and also the University of St. Mary of the Lake. And so I think for about 6-7 years, Annia, is that how long we've been receiving seminarians from those 2 locations? And also there was a question during our break about reading. And so maybe Annie can sort of give some clarification about, I talked a lot about the speaking of Spanish, but there are also other capacities within the language that are important to know.
In our classes, we use different options for the students. Some students need to read and other people need to hear. So we can cover different skills like speaking area, listening, reading. In classes, we use the newspapers, books, and the Bible to help the students who needs to learn in this way. But also, we invite the students to use their Spanish with the families, with other students in the campus, and with the staff of the school. And we combine the grammar in all areas, and the students improve their Spanish.
Mm-hmm. And then also we have the cultural aspects. So I know when I first came to Costa Rica and I went to Mass, I was always surprised by the little dog walking down the aisle. I was like, wait, what? So, the dogs will come in, hang out, and then walk out. or just the concept a little bit different of children in mass, and the fact that I've never seen in Costa Rica a crying room, for example. That's a different cultural aspect. So it's kind of interesting when people come to perfect their skills. They're also expanding their cultural capacities and seeing, oh, why did that parishioner do that versus this? And so when you live the language and you live in the country, it kind of helps expand that.
Yeah, and this is really important when you are learning a language, because you don't need only to learn the language. You need to understand the culture and how it works. And that's why we can share with the students the dogs in the mass is a good idea to understand.
Yeah, no, it is important. I mean, I will share with you a little bit that I was born in Cuba. I lived there 8 years, so my mother tongue is Spanish. And in my house, we spoke Spanish. My mother never learned English during the whole time she was here. She died rather young. My father had learned some English. With my brothers and sisters, I speak in English. And at age 20, I went to Mexico. And I only spoke Spanish for several years. And so later I went to the Dominican Republic, and I know what those Mexico too, but the little towns where the dirt roads, and you go to the little store, and you learn the culture, and you start smelling like a sheep, like the Pope says, right? You start really getting to know the people. My actual church here in South Florida is a almost 99% immigrant church, and I would say only the young people speak English. The rest do not speak English. These are the Scalabrini missionary fathers. I haven't been there for a while now with the COVID, but in any case, it's incredibly important what Jonle and Annia are saying about getting to know the culture. And of course, Catholicism is about this body of Christ with all these different members and all these tongues that you can speak in, and all this kind of stuff. As one of the great manifestations in the early church was the ability to speak in tongues. And you've got St. Francis speaking to the birds, and St. Ignatius teaching catechism without knowing any, Latin or anything. You're communicating various different ways, but it's good to know the language and the culture and have some vocabulary, right, Annia?
Yes. The students needs to learn the vocabulary, the grammar, to share with the culture, to read and listen, and that's how students learn. So we can offer this to everybody who wants to learn Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you have those wonderful forests there, because I've been there. I stayed in a log cabin with a fireplace one of the times I was there. The other times I was in, I guess it's called San Pedro Montes de Oca. Is that an area of the city of San Jose, right?
Yes.
So I stayed with some dear friends there for a wedding that I went to. And it's, like I said, it's very cool. And it's like a mini Mexico. It's more quaint. It's not as overwhelming as the metropolis of Mexico City, which is a tremendous city. Yeah. But that's a little overwhelming. Costa Rica is a great place to start getting your feet wet, I think, right?
I would agree with that 100%. It's a country where people can travel here alone without issues. So sometimes we have people say, hey, as a single woman, can I travel to Costa Rica? Absolutely. It's safe. Also, when you come to this school, we pick you up at the airport and we get you to where you need to be. So we're sort of your home away from home to the extent that you want to be. We have some students who are very independent travelers and want to do their own thing, and that's fine as well. But we tell students in the orientation, we're like, if you're not going to come home for dinner, let us know, or let the family know, because the Mama Tica is going to be calling saying, my student hasn't come home for dinner, or my hijo o hija. So they really take very seriously, the host families, their responsibility of taking care of our students. So they're giving breakfast and dinner and a private room to each student, but really much more important than that is the care and the love that they give to the students. And I like to share that we have students who do canopy zip line, rafting, beautiful hikes through the forest, lounging on the beach, enjoying the blue waters and the white sand. And when we ask them, what is your favorite part? They often will say the Costa Ricans and my host family, and just they feel like they leave a piece of their heart here. So I guess, Dr. Chavez, you probably feel that too, right? Since you've been 3 times.
Los ticos, right? Costa Ricans are known as ticos, right? Los ticos.
Yes, ticos, right. So ticos and ticas.
Tico, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great place. Like I said, I went to 3 times, and I had some good experiences there. What else can we say? I was asking questions about the value of reading the Bible in Spanish and other books to become familiar with a language that you already have some knowledge of because of your familiarity with the Bible. So maybe we can, you can acquire a Bible or maybe 2 or 3 Bibles. I'm a collector of Bibles. I have nothing against buying a lot of Bibles, and get an easy text and just begin to read the Gospel of Mark or something. And I think that helps with the vocabulary. But you do have, I think, Annia, you were saying newspapers and things like that available.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of resources for the students. We use a platform where we add materials, and also in class we print the materials for the students and can practice the pronunciation, the vocabulary, and repeat how to pronounce this, how is a good tone, or what is a good tone for this part, how to pronounce this. So we practice a lot this area, because for the math, the students need to know how to pronounce, and to read is important part to achieve this objective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think in Costa Rica, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to quickly mention is that also it's all level appropriate. So if as we start out, if it's a student who is starting at a lower level or beginner level, all that material starts building on itself. Yes. And so it's at the start, if we're starting maybe with the children's Bible or different stories, texts that are more basic, and then we elevate up as the student improves.
And I know that Costa Rica, the way the Spanish is spoken there is pretty neutral. It's not like an unusual dialect or accent. Even Mexico might have, even though I think they speak very well in Mexico, but Costa Rica, even Colombia, places like that, they speak a very good Spanish that's not as idiosyncratic, strange as perhaps some other places.
Yeah, that's an important point, because it's a very clearly spoken Spanish, and people tend to speak slowly. And I think that, coupled with the patience of the people and their kindness, I kind of liken Costa Rica to 25 years ago in the States, or even more, where people would sit on their porch and talk and engage with you. And that is a really important part of learning of the language. And I know once I was in France and I was in Paris, so of course any major city is going to be a little bit difficult, but I tried using my French, and the lady replied to me, just speak English. So, that's not going to happen in Costa Rica.
No.
They want to sit with you, talk, they want to hear your Spanish, they want to teach you, and so
everybody's going to help the students to improve their language.
Yeah.
Yeah, the feeling at home and at ease and not under pressure or in a hostile environment. That's a great place. That's a great vacation in a way, almost.
Yeah.
Great setting to then be able to concentrate on the language rather than having to deal with so many other issues, that could come up, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I think we've gone about 45 minutes with some presentations and some conversation regarding the CPI Spanish Costa Rica, the Centro Panamericano de Idiomas, the Pan American Center of Languages, with Ms. Annia Montero, the academic coordinator, and Jonle Sedar, also of the program, which we thank on behalf of WCAT Radio. And we've tried to anticipate what an audience of prospective students or people interested in the program might want to know about. But after we get some feedback as to what kind of real questions people might have or curiosities, then we can do a subsequent program in response to those, so that we anticipate a second program at least in the near future. We want to thank our guests, and if they want to add anything else at the end, they're welcome to do so.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity to share our offerings with your listeners, and we invite you to link into our website, which is cpi-edu.com. And there is a link to a free demo, so you can get a feel for what the program is like, our live format, our platform, which is an Adobe Connect. It's a customized platform, so you can get a feel for that. And we hope to see you in Costa Rica in the future as well. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and we hope to see you in our campuses. And gracias.
Thank you, and this is Dr. Emilio Chavez again on behalf of everyone, wishing you a happy time and a safe time during this period.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, God's beloved. I'm Annabelle Mosley, author, professor of theology, and host of Then Sings My Soul and Destination Sainthood on WCAT Radio. I invite you to listen in and find inspiration along this sacred journey we're traveling together to make our lives a masterpiece and, with God's grace, become saints. Join me, Annabelle Mosley, for Then Sings My Soul and Destination Sainthood on WCAT Radio. God bless you. Remember, you're never alone. God is always with you.
Thank you for listening to a production of WCAT Radio. Please join us in our mission of evangelization. And don't forget, love lifts up when knowledge takes flight.